Good afternoon and welcome to Pet Photography Secrets. Today I am going to go over how to put a copyright or a watermark on your photograph. I've had a lot of my clients calling up and emailing me asking me how to put a watermark over their image, or saying that they are concerned with putting their photos on the internet and they're worried about how to protect their images and etc. so forth. So today we are going to do just a really quick little blurb on how to put a copyright or watermark on your image. This is very good if you're going to be using your images to put on the internet. Also, if you want to send photos that you've taken of a client to a client and etc. so forth, you don't necessarily want to give them the image because people are so good with scanners today that before you know it, the image is out of your hands and you've lost it forever. So this is just a little way, precaution if you will, to take care of your image and put a watermark over it. So what I've done here is I have opened up an image in Photoshop. This is my dog Eros sitting outside of our barn. And what we're going to do is we're going to put a watermark. We're going to put Colby Sky Photography over the top of this image and protect it for web usage. Now, a lot of you may also notice that when you do send images and stuff like that through the internet, when you try to email it, sometimes your images end up being huge, just way too big. So one of the first things that I do before I go and publish one of my photos to the web is I go up to image size up here, scroll down, click on image size, and I put whatever my larger side of the image, whether it's a landscape, meaning your width is going to be larger, or a portrait, meaning your height's going to be larger. And just as a rule of thumb, I put the larger side at 300 pixels, and this is for the web, so technically you could change your resolution to 72 or leave it at 300. I leave that entirely up to you. I just tend to not mess with it. Also, before you change this width to 300, you want to make sure that your constraint proportions is checked, because if it is not checked, then what will happen is I could change this to 300 and it won't change the height. I'm going to end up with a really funky looking dog. So we want to make sure your constraint proportions is checked, and then go ahead and change your width side, and it'll automatically change your height for you accordingly so that everything stays nice and proportionate. And then click OK. So there you have it. That's going to be the size of our image as we post it on the web. Now the second most important thing is to get that copyright symbol on it. You notice over here in Photoshop you have your tools palette, and you see this little squiggly gig over here. On your computer it could look like any one of these. All you do is just click your mouse and hold, and then scroll down to the little squiggly gig, the custom shape tool, and then you're going to go up here and you notice you see the word shape. Next to it is the copyright symbol. That's what I have on my computer because that was the last thing that I used. But you have all of these really cool little shapes here and all these different things. If you don't see these on your computer, you click this little arrow here and you can go over here and click all, and it'll ask you if you want to append those to your regular list. You just click yes, and then when you do that you get this, and you get all these really cool little shapes. In these shapes you'll find your copyright symbol. So what you do is go ahead and select that copyright symbol and then click back onto your palette. What I do is when I do my copyright symbol and when I type out my text of my watermark, either whether it be my name or client's name or company name or whichever, I like to use white, just plain old white. If you have your color set to something different, you can go down here and click this little black square, white square, and that'll automatically set your color palettes back to black and white. Click my reverse so that white is on top, and I'm good to go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the copyright symbol by just clicking and holding and dragging until I get the size of the copyright symbol that I like. That looks good right about there. Then I'm going to click on my arrow tool up here, and you see I can move it around anywhere I want. You'll also notice in my layers palette over here that it automatically creates a new layer for me, which is perfect, and we'll get back to that a little bit later. Next step, I'm going to go to my type tool, which is here. I like to use my type something really simple and basic. A lot of people like to use script or special fonts, everything else. Remember, this is your watermark and we are going to fade it. The idea behind a watermark is to cover your image and protect it for you, but not necessarily to make it unlegible or to distract a person from seeing what your image is all about. So I like to use a real basic Arial font, regular, 6 points, perfect. Click on the image and I'm ready to go. See, it comes up and I'm going to go ahead and type here Colby Sky Photography, which is my photography company. Now you may notice that it just kind of went everywhere. Don't worry, it's no big deal. We're going to fix that. Again, go up to the arrow tool and position Colby Sky Photography about where I'd like it, right about there. And now what I want to do is I want to shrink that so that it fits inside my screen. I don't want to have to go back and change the type and do all this stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Edit, and I'm going to go to Edit and go down to Free Transformation. free transform. Now you see it highlights my text, but again, I don't want to keep moving it around so that it's all stretched out and all this stuff, flip it upside down and all that crazy things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this little doohickey up here. It looks like a paper clip almost. When you click on that and you use your free transform tool, it will automatically constrain your portions so that everything stays in proportion to itself. You see that? I love that tool. Otherwise, if you start dealing with other people that are in digital imaging and in photography, they're going to notice when you've stretched your words and it just never really looks good. So that looks about good, covers most of my image, including my little dog there. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter, and my box is going to go away, my text is going to set. Now I'm going to go over to my layers palette over here, click on my copyright symbol, line it up with my name, and boom, perfect. Now it's in a good line. So now we go on to our next step here, and this is where it gets a little bit tricky. So here we go. Notice in my layers palette I've got my shape, which is my copyright symbol, and then I've got Colby Sky Photography. What I'm going to do is in this little square right here, I'm going to click once so that these two are now attached. Where I move one, I move them both. See how that works? And once those are attached, I'm going to go up to my layers up top, and I'm going to merge linked. Now it's very important you merge linked and not flatten the image, and you'll see why. We're going to merge linked, and now that I have that as one layer, which is just go ahead and it's automatically titles as shape 1, but it's no big deal. Once that's there, I'm going to go up to the opacity, and I'm going to scroll that down so that you can hardly see the Colby Sky Photography, because again, the whole point in photography and in the world of professional photography is that you want to show off your image. You can't show off your image if you've got big bright words right over the top of your dog. But if I put it all the way down here, then somebody can just crop out the dog and it doesn't matter where my name is. So you want to keep your name over the image so that it can't be pirated. But you want to have it not necessarily in everybody's face. So we're going to bump the opacity down just about there, wherever you like. So that way I have my watermark there. It is protected by my name, but you can still see the image nice, clear as day. Now the reason that you don't flatten the image is that if we were to flatten the image, then what would happen is we would actually end up, we would end up bumping this opacity down, in which case we lose our image. So it's important to just merge linked, don't flatten your image. However, once you have that watermark right where you want it, and you don't think it's overly insulting or anything like that, now you can go up to your layers palette, flatten the image so that it's all one image, go up to File, Save As, and when you're saving this, you always want to make sure, let me make this so that you can see it here if I can, okay. You want to make sure that you always save your file as something different and save it in a JPEG format. Photoshop, all this other stuff, it makes it really complicated to see it on the web. It makes it even harder to try to email it. So you just save it as a JPEG to whatever file you want, and I tend to always put a C for copyright, and then we'll put error, which is my dog's name, image. So that way I know that, you know, my image is, it's, you know, semi the same. I open a file named arrow image, and now I'm going to save it as C arrow image so that I know when I'm flying through my folders trying to find the image that I've copyrighted to what I haven't copyrighted, that this right here means that it's copyrighted. So we're going to go ahead and hit save. Again, keep the quality. I generally don't mess with anything in here. Just hit OK. And we are good to go. Now you have an image that you can put on the web, and it's got your watermark symbol right across it, and everything's good to go. Thank you very much, and please let me know if you guys have any more questions. We'll talk to you soon.